Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. This is a fun topic. We're talking about top 12 Denzel Washington movies. And I've got a great panel here. Here for the first time, we've got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, going good. I'm excited to talk about Denzel. It's going to be hard to narrow it down to 12.
Um, Next up, we got Ryan Payne. Ryan, how's it going?
Pretty good, Malcolm. I mean, when I saw you posted that topic on the little multiple choice, I was gonna hunt you down and ask you to bring me on this because there's one actor I do love out of pretty much all of the rankings you've done, and that is Denzel.
Next up, we've got Kirk. Kirk, how's it going?
Really good. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Ryan. I'm really excited to talk about Denzel. He's an actor I've always loved, or always liked, I should say, but only over the past couple of years have I really honestly started to recognize what a singular talent he is. He's a legit movie star. He's an action hero, but he's also a really brilliant actor. And I don't know anybody who does all three of those like that, and definitely nobody does like Denzel. So I'm excited to talk about this one.
And also here we've got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
It's going good. It's funny. If someone ever asks me who my favorite actor is, the three names I always say are the two Toms, Cruise and Hanks, and Denzel Washington. And I was here for the Tom Cruise one. Now I'm here for the Denzel one. So hopefully, if we ever do Tom Hanks, I get to be on that one too.
Get the trifecta.
But yeah, how Rankum goes is we go around the panel and nominate a movie that we think belongs on the top 12 Denzel Washington list. And then once we get a short list of 12 movies, then at the end we rank them. A new rule I brought in for this year, if say Richie brings up Unstoppable, but there's some people that hasn't seen it, the not seen it does not count as a no. It will only count for the people that have actually seen the movie, whether it makes the list or not. With the exception of if no one else has seen it, then it still doesn't make the list because the person nominating it can't control the list that way. As
Did many people be Unstoppable? Sorry.
I mean.
It's
It's why I picked one of my least favorite ones of them that I'm probably not going to bring up myself, but who knows? So with that being said, I'm going to go to Richie to bring up the first movie.
All right, cool. This was sort of hard to get first to the board. I'm going to go. I still think it's underrated. It was one of sort of his first sort of breakout movies in the I think it was '89. I think it's one of my favorite war movies. Glory. I think this movie's amazing. Doesn't get talked about as much in regards to war movies, and yeah, I think it deserves to be in this list.
Glory is on the table. Ryan, what do you say about Glory?
Yeah, I was definitely going to give this a yes to Glory. Glory was one of the earlier Denzel films I was introduced through my dad. And yeah, he had that movie on VHS, and Denzel, along with Andre Braugher, Matthew Broderick, Cary Elwes, and Morgan Freeman, give great performances. It's like a really good cast. So that was going to be a yes for me.
Stephen, Glory is on the table. What do you say?
Definitely, it's probably my favorite movie of his, and it's also definitely in my top 20 of all time. So yeah.
And Kirk, what would you have said about Glory?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is talking about what a great actor Denzel is. I think this is the one that kind of put him on the map. I mean, he had done a lot of stuff before this, but I mean, he kind of had that reputation as movie star / heartthrob up to that point in the late '90s. And this is the one that people really saw. Was like, whoa, look at this guy. And we haven't looked back since. So yeah, Glory is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I've only seen Glory sort of once. I probably would have given a slight no myself. It's a good movie. I definitely do think it belongs here. It's just a little bit outside my personal top 12, but But Ryan, we go to you for the next nomination.
I want to get this one out the way because I know Denzel. He's a very serious actor, but I'm picking The Preacher's Wife because it's one of the few movies that Denzel has in his filmography where you get to see Denzel be very fun and lighthearted, and also you get to see him be very charming in this movie as playing the Angel Dudley. I mean, he does a very good job. I can't compare him to Gregory Peck's portrayal in the original one with the bishop's wife, but with The Preacher's Wife, I like this one because it's slightly different. It's a lighthearted tone. And like I said, it's just a fun portrayal that Denzel gives that it's a movie I do love to rewatch.
The Preacher's Wife is on the table. Stephen, what do you say?
I saw it a long time ago, and I don't really remember it that much. I do remember liking it, but I don't really remember it, so I have to say no.
Okay.
Kirk, what do you say about The Preacher's Wife?
I will recuse myself because this is one I have not seen.
Yeah, I also have not seen this. I've seen the movie it's based on, The Bishop's Wife. I just couldn't find this one to compare the two. Richie, have you seen The Preacher's Wife?
No, I have to excuse myself too. I haven't seen it. That's one of the few ones I haven't seen.
But yeah, sadly, it doesn't make the list. But Stephen, we go to you for your next nomination.
I will go with The Book of Eli, which I think is a great action movie, great futuristic dystopian thriller, and Denzel gives such a great performance in it, especially because I won't give away what the twist at the end, but it definitely makes you want to go back and rewatch the movie to see if you can see the hints. And I love the movie. So The Book of Eli is my first pick.
Kirk, what do you say about The Book of Eli?
This is one that was definitely on my list. I really like this movie. I think this one is super underrated. I think it's aptly named because it reminds me of like an Old Testament Bible story, and Denzel plays it like an Old Testament prophet, and he brings so much heart. I think this is this one where you put anybody else in this role. I'm going to say this a lot tonight. You put anybody else in this role, it's just a pretty generic action movie. But Denzel like really makes something of that character and makes something of that story. So yeah, this is a definite yes for me.
This is one that I'm not a big fan of myself. I think it's fine. I think Denzel does have a good performance in it, but I'm probably going to say no to it myself. But Richie, what do you say about The Book of Eli?
I like The Book of Eli. I also think it's very super underrated. Probably there's others on this list that hit me more, but I do think maybe towards the bottom, like 12. I do think it still kind of deserves to be on this list. So it's a soft yes for me, but I do like them.
Ryan, what do you say about The Book of Eli?
Well, I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is also a yes for me because The Book of Eli was one of the later, like 2000s Denzel films that actually won me over because, like what Kirk said, if you had put anybody else in that role, this would have came off as just a regular dystopian film, but with Denzel and his character, and I'm not going to spoil too much, but Denzel really brings a big weight to this character. And pretty much the plot says he's carrying around what is the last Bible on earth. So his performance really gives off of not only a stranded warrior, but also comes off as a preacher, but at the same time, someone who is like an elder warrior, like someone who's tired, like what I see Hugh Jackman give in Logan. Someone who's had this weight on his shoulders for so long, he just wants to be rid of it, but then finds way to be renewed towards the end.
But if that Book of Eli does make the list, Kirk, we go to you for your first nomination.
Okay, my first nomination, I talked at the beginning about, how Denzel walks the line between movie star and great actor. And this movie, I think, is my favorite of his as far as like that brings that out and shows both sides of him. My pick is going to be Man on Fire. This is a character we see Denzel play a lot. He plays that badass with the heart of gold, and I think he does it the best in this movie. His chemistry with Dakota Fanning is just amazing, and just what you see them do in the first 45 do together the first 45 minutes of the movie just really sets up everything else that happens after. And again, that basic revenge tale has been done a million times, but with Denzel it transcends that, becomes something else. And I just love, there's so many great moments, just how methodically he goes through these people, just like, I wish you had more time, just how he's doing it so matter of fact, taking these guys out. This movie has I think my favorite Christopher Walken performance of this century. He's really great in this too, and I love this movie so much. So that's going to be my first pick.
Man on Fire is a movie I really love. I saw this for the first time. I think it was last year, but this is just a fun movie, and it's one that I really enjoy. And Dakota Fanning is also great in it. But yeah, Richie, what do you say about Man on Fire?
Yeah, I had it on my list. It's a great movie. No one really talks about in regards to Denzel Washington's filmography, but I think it's really great. I think performances are great, and yeah, it just definitely deserves to be on this list.
Ryan, what would you have said about Man on Fire?
Well, I'm gonna keep this train going. That's also a yes. This is definitely a big on my list. Denzel's performance is very good in here, because in reality, this could have been a straight revenge movie, but we have that brief, quick introduction of Denzel's character of a former assassin, and you see him like in his depths, like really hit rock bottom, and then his relationship with Dakota Fanning, how it brings him back. So it's more of a revenge movie, but with purpose, not just simple revenge. And then also the cast involved, like great Christopher Walken performance. It also reintroduced me to Rachel Ticotin, who I know from the Total Recall film. And I'm like, this is an actress, I should have looked at her earlier previous filmography. So like Man on Fire is one of those Tony Scott films that got me to look at actors for their previous work. So this is a yes for me.
Stephen, what would you have said about Man on Fire?
Yeah, I love all of the collaborations between Denzel Washington and Tony Scott, and this is probably my second favorite of theirs. And no one plays righteous anger better than Denzel Washington. And so my only criticism, though, would be I do wish that Tony Scott had toned down some of his stylish tendencies.
Tony Scottness.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like he's bought into his own hype, right?
I mean, you have scenes where they have captions when they're speaking English, and it just got it got a little too much sometimes. But I still like it.
But yeah, for my first nomination, I'm going to take it to the streets of Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia is a great movie. This is one that because I don't gravitate to dramas a lot when I watch them. Like quite often, I think they're fine. But this is one that I actually really do love. And this is because Tom Hanks and Denzel both have a great performances in this. But yeah, I haven't seen this in a while, so I don't want to mess anything up when I try to talk about it. But I do remember loving this movie. Richie, what do you say about Philadelphia?
I'm with you. I'd say yes. I too don't normally gravitate towards dramas, but yeah, this really got me. I would definitely say yes.
Ryan, what do you say about Philadelphia?
Well, I'm mainly going to give this a yes, but at the same time, my yes may not hold weight because I've not actually seen this movie. I've had it explained to me in film classes, so I'm well aware of the plot involved, the performances that Hanks and Denzel gives, but at the same time, you can just put my yes on hold because of the fact I've not seen it. I'm only doing it because I know of I have seen through reviews and through what my teacher, because one of my old film class teachers loves this movie. He passionately talks about how it's a good, like the relationship between Denzel and Hanks is a good way of how Denzel's character, who is homophobic when you meet him, how he has an arc throughout the film for him to become more accepting and more of an understanding person at defending Tom Hanks, though. But But right now, you can just put that yes on hold until you get everyone else's answers.
Stephen, what do you say about Philadelphia?
I haven't seen it in a long time, so my memory is a little fuzzy, but I do remember loving it, and Hanks won the Oscar for it, and Denzel, he has the less showier role, but he's still great, and I'll give it a yes.
And Kirk, what do you have to say about Philadelphia?
Again, I'm in the same boat with Brian. I have not seen this one yet. It's a glaring hole for me. I tried to get to watch it before this episode because I wanted to see it because I knew it would come up, and I just didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
But with that, Philadelphia does make the list with three yeses anyway. So that's but then we go back to Richie.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a movie that none of this community seems to remember when it comes to quizzes, and also the movie I did a paper on in high school. I'm gonna go with Remember the Titans. This is a really great, really inspirational movie. It featured performances from people who weren't big back then, like sort of getting their start, like Ryan Gosling and like the young Hayden Panettiere, and I just really watchable, and I enjoy it. So yeah, I remember the times.
Ryan, what do you have to say about Remember the Titans?
Richie, it's kind of funny because I too also wrote a paper on this film when I was in my freshman year of college. So I'm also giving the yes to Remember the Titans, not just for writing the paper though, but this is another Denzel movie that has a great stellar cast, including how Denzel, even though he is one of the top billed, he is mostly in the back seat because the most of the performance is in the young cast we see here, like of Ryan Gosling, Wood Harris, Ryan Hurst. I know so many of the other actors there, but it's mainly their seat and it's their show. But Denzel and Will Patton, they're there to be like the foundation, like the support in order for them to have the limelight. But it's a yes.
Stephen, what do you say about Remember the Titans?
Well, in the early 2000s, Disney did a lot of these underdog sports movies, and Remember the Titans is probably my second and third favorite of them. And so, also, when we were talking about Glory, one thing I forgot to mention what I loved about Glory was James Horner's score. And Remember the Titans has a great score too. So yeah, I'll give Remember the Titans a yes.
Kirk, what do you have to say about Remember the Titans?
I love when Denzel plays characters in a leadership role because he just comes off like, I feel like in real life, like if Denzel could give me a pep talk about anything, I'd be able to get fired. I'd run through a wall for Denzel if he asked me to. He just comes off as that kind of guy, and so yeah, just him in this role again. It's an underdog story about the sports, but also just like the idea of him overcoming the prejudice of this world, and Denzel's the guy to do that. So yeah, this would be a yes for me.
Yeah, this would have been a yes for me as well. It is one of those movies that somehow in trivia it's forgettable, but but yeah, it's an enjoyable movie. It's probably on the lower end of my personal list, but I'm still saying yes to it. And with that, we go to Ryan for his next nomination.
Hold on, there's going to be a bit of dead time because my next pick is just going to be summed up with a poster that's hanging on my wall. That's it. Plain and simple. Malcolm X. That's my pick.
Stephen, what do you have to say about Malcolm X?
I said Glory is my favorite movie of his, but Malcolm X is his best performance. It's Spike Lee's best movie, and yeah, I think it's a masterpiece. So yeah, definitely.
Kirk, what do you have to say about Malcolm X?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, from me. Denzel's performance. This is the one Denzel definitely should have won the Oscar for. What he does with this, as he presents this person, you see the change. You see him just kind of like a ne'er-do-well living on the streets. You see his conversion, and then you see him harden, and then you see him soften. And Denzel does it all so great from beginning to end. He is so amazing in this movie. And I mean, I think Denzel's on screen. I mean, it's almost a 3-hour movie, and Denzel's on screen for 95% of it, and he just consumes that time with his presence. So yeah, definitely yes for me.
Yeah, this is a movie that I haven't seen. So yeah, ironically enough. Richie, what do you have to say about Malcolm X?
Actually, you also have to excuse myself. I haven't seen it yet either. So,
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because it's going to make the list anyway. So that is lucky. But with that, we move around to Stephen.
I will go with a movie where he's only a supporting character, but he directed it, and he plays an important part of it, and that's his first movie that he directed, Antoine Fisher, which is a really moving story about a troubled kid who was abused as a child, and just to face his past so he can move on. And the scenes between Derek Luke and Denzel Washington are really great. And so yeah, Antoine Fisher is my next pick.
Kirk, what do you say about Antoine Fisher?
This is another one I haven't seen. Tried to watch this week and just didn't get to. So I'm gonna have to pass on this one.
I haven't seen it either. Richie.
I watched it once a long time ago when it was sort of newish. I remember enjoying it, but I didn't. I'm going to be honest, it didn't stick with me as much as some of his other work. So I'm actually going to say no on this one.
So it's going to come down to Ryan. Ryan, what do you have to say about Antoine Fisher?
I'm with Kirk. I haven't seen it either. And the sad part is the only thing about Antoine Fisher that stuck out to me was the Dave Chappelle skit, pretty much mimicking and making fun of it. Not making fun of the movie, but pretty much just doing like, I'm going to tell my own story.
But with that, we're going to go to Kirk for his next nomination.
Okay, my next one is another collab with Tony Scott. I'm going to go with Crimson Tide. What I didn't talk about with Man on Fire is what I love about the collaborations between Denzel and Tony Scott. Is, like I said, Denzel is both a movie star and an action star and a brilliant actor. Tony Scott is very much an action movie director, but he's also his movies have a lot of heart and a lot of meaning to them. I always say he's like Michael Bay with a heart and a brain. And I think the two of them, the fact that they both have one foot in both of those worlds, like action movies and use a pretentious term, real movies, they make such great movies together. I think Man on Fire is one, Crimson Tide is another one. Him and Hackman are both so good in this. I love the way they set up their characters. Hackman's simple, and he's a sledgehammer, and Denzel is a scalpel. And then they put them in this perfect situation where they have to, basically determine the fate of the world based on those two personality traits. And it's so great. I love movies where everybody, what they're doing, they think they're doing the right thing. There's no real bad guy. Everybody thinks they're saving the world. And it's fantastic. It's a great movie. And again, it has a lot of very Tony Scott-like things that I'm not a fan of his as a director. But I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives.
But yeah, simply Richie, what do you have to say about Crimson Tide?
Again, I'm going to have to excuse myself. I haven't seen it.
Ryan.
Having seen it, it is a yes, because my thoughts same as Kirk's as well. I saw this when I was young, so of course I was on the side of Denzel because I thought he was trying to stop a megalomaniac from going to war. But then got older, I rewatched it. I do see that it really is a tough situation. They didn't get the correct complete order. So they're pretty much going off of their best guess or their assumption of what that order is. And then you see, yeah, both men are just trying to do the right thing. And also I love how with both, because these two are so strong-willed and like hot-headed, it also divides the loyalty among some of the crew. Some are for Gene Hackman, some are for Denzel, and then you start to see, and not even the crew are bad guys either. Some are kind of like, you're loyal to Gene, but you also got to remember you're loyal to your country. And then it's like, well, he's new. Denzel's new here. He doesn't understand everything that's going on in this boat. So like it's a big test of it's a big morality movie. It's a big test of loyalty. Like this is one of the actual honest depictions. This is like one of the honest military Navy films that I want to see down the line. Not always where America's in the right, but more of what's happening on these front lines. What's the real balance that's going on within them? So that is a yes for Crimson Tide.
Stephen, what do you say about Crimson Tide?
Well, this was probably the first movie I saw with Viggo Mortensen, and what I like about what his character went through is that he's really good friends with Denzel Washington, but he's also loyal to his captain. So he's put in a tough spot. So I thought that was great. And of course, the scenes between Denzel and Gene Hackman when they go at each other, I mean, it's as exciting as almost any action scene that Tony Scott has done.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love the movies. I think I said Man on Fire was my second favorite movie of their collaborations. This is my favorite for sure, and it's definitely a yes.
But yeah, for my next pick, apparently I've chosen to stay in one year estate because I'm going from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh and talking about fences. But yeah, I mean, this is just this fences is just one of those ones that I really love, and I really think that Denzel deserved his nomination for Best Actor this year for this role. I don't think he won it, but he should have. Yeah, this is just a great story. Tell story of a war veteran coming back home, and Troy and Viola's relationship, sort of how it kind of reacts to this person. This is a great movie. This is actually one I was going to rewatch for this, but I didn't have the time. Richie, what do you have to say about Fences?
This was one of the movies I watched for this, just kind of a couple of days ago, and yeah, I definitely agree. Not entirely sure if he definitely deserves to be nominated. I would definitely put it. It might be recency bias, but I definitely put it on my top 12 as well.
Ryan, what do you say about Fences?
Oh, okay. I need to. All right. Now, I've seen the movie, obviously, and I've also read the play by August Wilson as well. I'm just re-looking over Denzel's filmography again, and I know we're going to get to the point where it's going to get cutthroat. But given what this is like later in the 2010s, I still think this movie should be on here because it's a good. Not only did Denzel help produce this film, I mean he played the same character in the stage version of Fences. So to me, he produced, directed this film. Like he put his heart and soul into this film just to give us a very good portrayal of like an honest stage to film adaptation. And also, him, Viola Davis were fantastic. And even some of the supporting characters in there were great as well. I forget who plays the son, but he's good. But on Denzel alone, his character is the eye of the hurricane in that sense, to where the plot never moves forward or it can't move forward without him. So I will give this to Denzel. I will say yes.
Stephen, what do you say about Fences?
I live in Pennsylvania, but I have not seen this movie, so I gotta stay out.
Kirk, what do you say about Fences?
You said it, Malcolm. August Wilson is a Pittsburgh native. This movie takes place. It was filmed in Pittsburgh. What kind of shill would I be if I said no to Fences? Especially we got the Philadelphia movie on the list. We got to have the Pittsburgh one. So yeah, definitely yes for me.
I live near Philly, so
Okay.
But if that we go back to Richie.
All right, give me a second. I'm just looking at see what's else on the board. Yeah, I'm gonna go. We went with a biopic before. I'm gonna go with another biopic because I think one of Denzel's really great qualities is just his way of embodying a character and also making you feel empathy. I'm gonna go from 1999. I'm gonna go with The Hurricane. This is a great movie, quite underrated, pretty underrated movie, I think, when you talk about his filmography. But yeah, I think he just embodies the character of Rube, and I go back to it. It's it's a really great story.
Ryan, what do you say about The Hurricane?
It's this movie and Malcolm X. Like these were my automatic two I wanted on this list. So I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah, this another great performance from Denzel Washington. Like with Malcolm X before, he's playing this guy who has this boxer, someone who had to fight his way in order to be recognized, in order to excel in the sport. Then he has all of it taken away from him, and then he has to live the rest of his life caged up, going from a very angry, aggressive young man into the older, more I won't say beaten down, but more of just like wizened character he is, to where he gives up hope. And then towards throughout the film, he's that hope. Look like every scene, that even that line he says, "Hate put me in here, hope or love is gonna get me free." And then finally that scene on the staircases where he's like, "I am still the hurricane, and the hurricane is beautiful." Like just great performances, the line deliveries from Denzel. So this is an automatic yes.
Kirk, what do you say about? Oh, Stephen, what do you say about Hurricane?
yeah, that would be a yes. It's a great movie. One of his best performances. So yeah.
Kirk, what do you say about The Hurricane?
The Hurricane, I did watch this for this episode, and it's tough for me because Denzel is amazing in it. It's maybe one of his best performances. He's great. Whenever he's on the screen, I'm captivated. Unfortunately, the problem with this movie, there's a lot of stuff in it that's not Denzel, and that stuff to me wasn't as interesting. I thought I will say that Roger Deakins does the boxing scenes fantastic. That's one of the real highlights of this movie. But it's Denzel's performance. Everything else is kind of falls flat as just like almost like a more generic type of biopic. And again, it's another one. Denzel elevates it. So I'm going to lean like 51% no, 49 yes, just barely no. But if it makes the list, I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so it does make the list because 3 out of 4 yeses. Well, yeah, I know what I mean. But
yeah, we get you.
But with that, we go to Ryan for his next nomination.
Okay, I know it's definitely gonna get more difficult. So, one thing about here, the next film I'm gonna pretty much put down is The Bone Collector, and in this film, Denzel throughout the entire movie, he is pretty much a paraplegic from the neck down. So this is Denzel having to play a character, having to perform with only using one finger and his neck up above. And while this film, I mean, there are some moments where it may lay too much focus on Denzel's character and not enough more on the crime thriller that trying to catch this murderer. But I think the back and forth between him and Angelina Jolie is fantastic. Queen Latifah, who I knew at the time was a TV star, was great as the nurse character. And then just seeing Denzel just really back and like I said, the back and forth is fantastic. I mean, I want to talk more about this, but along the end, I mean, going off of a certain someone who was part of SEN, if he likes to think Michael B. Jordan's a face actor, then you should really see Denzel's performance in here and judge that off your own merits. But I'm going with The Bone Collector.
Stephen, what do you say about The Bone Collector?
Well, Denzel is great. It's definitely an underrated performance of his because he spends most of the movie paralyzed. It's all in his face and his facial expressions. The movie itself is good, but I mean, I wouldn't call it one of Denzel's best. So even though I enjoyed it and Denzel is great, I gotta say no.
Kirk, what do you say about the Bone Collector?
Yeah, this is the one I haven't seen in a while. And again, I mean, it's a cool little mystery thriller type of movie. But as far as putting on a top 12 list for Denzel, I think there are a few better movies. We only have a few slots left that deserve to be on here. So I'm going to say no to it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, so Richie, what do you say about the Bone Collector?
I think so I think this is a movie where it's like obviously it's a very with Denzel's performance, it's very, very demanding performance, and he does a really good job. And like Queen Latifah and I agree, Queen Latifah and Jolie are great, but I just don't think the movie around it is great. I think the performances are better than that movie itself. So I think it's fine, but it didn't really it's not really memorable for me. So I'm going to say no.
But with that, it doesn't make the list. Stephen, we go to you for your next nomination.
My next one would be Flight, which I think is an underrated movie, and I think it's one of Denzel's best performances. And it's really a great movie about addiction and him, and because of this miraculous event that his character goes through, it forces him to confront his problems. And the supporting cast is great, and yeah, I love it. I think it's an underrated movie from Robert Zemeckis, who's one of my favorite filmmakers. So, Flight is my next choice.
Kirk, what do you have to say about Flight?
Unfortunately, this is one I want to see, but I have not seen yet.
Yeah, so I've seen this. I think it's great. So it's going to be an easy yes for me. Richie, what do you say about Flight?
Yeah, this is an easy yes for me. Very underrated. Yeah, great story about addiction. And again, I think Denzel, like with his performances, he gives a performance so that you can, you can. I don't know. You can just empathize with his characters more. He just has this ability to make you empathize really, really hard with his characters, and he embodies the characters he's in. And yeah, this is great. Very underrated, but yes for me.
But in mine, what you have said about Flight?
I can't say yes to this because I only watched the opening of the film to when he's in the hospital, so I only partially saw this film. Never got a chance to watch it again, so I would have to abstain myself.
Yeah, and this is one of the rare movies I actually enjoyed John Goodman in as well. But Kirk, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay, is this going to be the fastest episode ever, Malcolm? We're really flying through this.
It's definitely in contention.
Yeah, we got 2 slots left, so it's probably not going to get back around to me. I'm going to go with a movie I think is pretty underrated. A lot of people might say it's perfectly rated, so I doubt it's going to make a list, but I still want to talk about it. It's one of my favorite. I don't want to call it a guilty pleasure movie for Denzel, but it's one of my favorites to watch. It's Fallen. This is such a great movie. It's a detective story. He plays a police officer. And at the very beginning of the movie, a guy gets a person he put away gets executed in the electric chair, and he starts slowly seeing him come back to the people. And it turns out this guy's possessed by a demon who can transfer from person to person. And it's a like I said, it's a mystery thriller. It's a detective story. It's a supernatural detective story. He's trying to hunt down this demon, figure out how to beat him. It's so much fun. Denzel's great in it. I just love the music in it. Time is on my side, and how they use that as the affectation to see where the demon is. John Goodman's this one. He's great in it. James Gandolfini has a part, and he's really good. And again, it's something that in normal circumstances would be kind of ridiculous and silly, and it is kind of ridiculous and silly, but Denzel grounds it in his performance. So he's so sincere in his hunt to take down this demon that he's been looking. That he was hunting down the criminal, and then he transfers that obsession to the demon, and it's just a really fun story. So that's going to be my pick.
It's another one where Denzel Washington movie that starts with the letter F. I've not seen this, but based on the way Kirk sold it, I want to see it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Richie.
I also have to abstain. I have not seen this, but you've told me.
Ryan, have you seen this?
Honestly, it's been a while since I saw this film. I do remember bits and pieces of this because this was like another time of Denzel's movies where I was young and I watched it and I wasn't able to follow the plot. But I do love that cabin scene though, where it's just a constant battle of wits trying to go through it towards the end. And you know what? I mean, regardless how this list is going to turn out, I think Fallen is still a good film that should be on this list. And at the same time, it's one of the closest films we're ever going to get Denzel to be doing something where he's doing horror and supernatural. So
That's true.
I'll give that a yes.
Stephen, what do you say about Fallen?
Another movie of his that was filmed and takes place in Philly. I did enjoy this movie a lot. You mentioned some of the other supporting characters. Also, he's only in it in the very beginning, but Elias,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his
Yeah.
name.
Elias Koteas, yeah. Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
He's great. So Donald Sutherland. I love the ending. The ending's great. But I think there are other better Denzel Washington movies. Since there's only 2 more spots left, I'm gonna have to say no.
But with Ryan saying yes to it, it makes the list because we haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, it's gonna get cutthroat from here.
Man, this is gonna be hard.
And so another trend of Denzel Washington's apparently remakes, and this one's no exception. I'm bringing up The Manchurian Candidate. This is one of those ones. It's got Meryl Streep, a whole bunch of great people in this. This is another one of those movies in which I went into thinking I don't know much about the original. I don't know if I'll actually enjoy this. I came out of it enjoying it more than I thought. It's just one of those fun movies that's but I have no idea how I'm describing it now, but Richie, what do you say about The Manchurian Candidate?
Look, I mean, if you haven't seen the original, I think, in my opinion, that's so much better. And just if you had more slots left, I would be more forgiving. But because we only got one, I have to say no.
Ryan, what do you say about Manchurian Candidate?
Sadly, I did not get a chance to see this remake, so I have to abstain. Even though I've heard great performances from Meryl Streep, Leo Shriver, Kimberly Elise, who Denzel does reteam, has collaborated with another film.
But Stephen, what do you say about Manchurian?
Well, I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, and that was like 15 years ago. But I do remember liking it a lot. But yeah, because there's only one more spot left, I gotta say no.
Kirk, what would you have said about Manchurian Candidate?
This is one I have not seen. There's another remake, Denzel remake, that if the list was a little longer, I might bring up. But this is not one of them because, like I said, I haven't seen it.
But with that, we go to Richie for his next nomination.
All right, this is getting tough now. I'm throw in that. Gonna go with one of his later movies. Which, towards his recent career, I think he's tried to sort of go more sort of maybe Liam Neeson route. We're trying to become more of an action guy. He had he did a thing with two guns, and he was in another remake of Seven. But I'm gonna go with the one that kind of made him into a bit more of an action guy, at least in recent times. So I'm going with The Equalizer. I think it's a really good movie. He's really good in it. It made me pay more. I think Chloe Grace Moretz is really good in this movie too. It made me sort of pay more attention to her after it was sort of one of the first roles after Hit Girl, and it made me realize she's a really good actress. I enjoy it. It's not a movie I would have brought up straight away, but because we're sort of getting to the tail end. I think it's deserving to be maybe on this list.
The Equalizer is on the table. Ryan, what do you say about it?
I actually own a copy of the DVD of The Equalizer. I saw this in films because I was taken away by the trailer. But then watching this film, okay, first off, I'll just say I don't know if it's gonna make it through, but I'm gonna say yes because this is one of my favorite. This is like to me, and the Man of Fire is one of my favorite action. Well, Man on Fire, Two Guns, and the Equalizer are my favorite of Denzel in action, honestly. Because Denzel, this is mainly a character movie of a man who has a past that he's not going. And he's also very methodical because when he starts getting to work, you see how ruthless, methodical, and brutal this guy is in action. And I like how Denzel throughout the whole time he gives you this blank, emotionless, cold stare when he's getting to work, as if he has shut off his entire mind and he's just getting down to business. That's a great one, Zaz. Yeah, an Equalizer John Wick crossover. I wish the second one had done well, so we would have done a third Equalizer. But I'm going to say yes to the first Equalizer.
Stephen, what do you say about the Equalizer?
I know I'm in the minority, but I think Robert McCall is a much more interesting character than John Wick. I really I do love this movie. If it makes it through, I'll be perfectly happy about it. But just because there's only one more spot left, I'm going to say no.
Kirk, what do you say about the Equalizer?
This is tough because there is one more spot left, and I think there are a couple movies I'd rather see make the list. But if I judge it on its own merits, if this one came up, 6 or 7 picks ago, I think I got to be honest with how I would go with it and say yes on it. The thing I love about Denzel, and it's like Ryan said, he's so cold and calculated when he goes to work, like his real work. But when he goes to work at the hardware store, you see like what a good guy he is. Like he's helping that one guy get his pass the test for the security guard.
Yes.
Yeah. And you just see that again. That's what Denzel does. He brings so much like even those like cold-blooded characters. He can't help but bring so much like warmth and humanity to him. He's so perfect for those roles. And just him, I love that scene where like everybody's trying to figure out what he used to do. And he's like, we figured out. He's like, I was a pip. He's like, Gladys Knight the pip. Like and he still has like that playful side to it. So I mean, just yeah. So it's a great Denzel role and it's a great movie. And again, I mean, it does kind of like I love Man on Fire. This kind of has that same vibe to it as far as that character goes. So I will say yes to this.
But yeah, even if you had said no to it, I would have said yes to it anyway. It would have. I really do love this movie. I'm one of the ones that actually have seen a few episodes of the original TV show it's based on, and this movie just takes all that and makes it a lot better. And apparently they're doing a new TV show now with the Equalizer franchise. But with that, we've reached the end of the shortlist making thing. Now we get to the list making of it. But for that, Richie, do you have any honorable mentions?
He Got Game. It's a good movie. I was tossing up between that and Equalizer. It's it's a decent one. Other than that, I can't. I think we've sort of covered most of the ones I would put up on the list. But yeah, He Got Game is definitely one that was clearing. Oh, and I guess Training Day. We're going to get a lot of shit from Community for putting that on the
list. Any honorable mentions?
Off the top of my head, I would have gone. My honorable mentions would have been Inside Man, American Gangster, Unstoppable. For a train movie, I think it's a very entertaining train movie. And let me see what else. Courage Under Fire. Yeah, and then I would have suggested those as my honorable mentions as well.
Stephen, any honorable mentions?
Oh, he's done so many. Courage Under Fire is on my list. I really love The Siege, which also is from the same director, and from the director of Glory, Edward Zwick. Cry Freedom. Safe House is a good, fun action movie.
actually, that's a good movie.
Sorry. American Gangster, Inside Man, Deja Vu. I love time travel movies, so Deja Vu is up there for me. John Q. Another guilty pleasure, not a great movie, but a guilty pleasure would be Virtuosity.
I think that's a guilty pleasure too. I would have suggested that. Like, there's so much we can do a sequel to Denzel, even though before he never did sequels.
Kirk, any honorable mentions?
The one that really hurts me is not on this list is The Inside Man. Honestly, I didn't think Fallen had a chance to get a list. Otherwise, I would have brought up Inside Man to make sure it did. That hurts. Unstoppable, just because it would have been nice to have a second Pittsburgh movie on the list. And like Richie said, Training Day is not what I mean. Training Day for me is more about Denzel Ford is the movie, but that probably should at least be talked about. And and Deja Vu is another great Tony Scott silly action movie with heart. So that's a good one.
A lot of my honorable mentions that that haven't been said. Taking a Pelham 123, I think is a fun movie.
That's fun.
I know a lot of people don't like this one, but I did enjoy Roman J. Israel Esquire. And even though I was only small, well, I think it was a great and much ado about nothing. So, but that we get to the voting, so we're going to vote for what we want at number 12.
Okay.
But Ryan, what do you have for 12?
I'm picking it because I remember it the least, and that would be Fallen.
Stephen, what do you have for 12?
Fallen.
Kirk?
Yeah, there's my pick. It belongs on the bottom of this list.
I put Book of Eli. Richie?
I haven't written anything down, but hang on, give me a sec. Fallen for me is what I was going to put anyway. So yeah, just because it's probably the least sort of known out of that one.
Unfortunately, Zeddies, I haven't brought in that rule, so.
Hey, if you ever do a second Denzel one, then we can definitely bring an Inside Man.
But there, Stephen, what is your number 11?
The Equalizer.
Kirk, what do you have for 11?
Yeah, another movie I really enjoy, but as far as this list goes, I think 11's a good spot for it.
Book of Eli. Richie?
I had Book of Eli.
Oh.
Ryan?
Damn, I'm breaking the tie. Shit, I put Book of Eli. Because I think Equalizer is just a tad a little higher, but that's just me. That's me.
Kirk, what do you have for 10?
I'm sticking with Equalizer.
I've got the Equalizer. Richie?
The Equalizer.
Ryan?
Well, there won't be no debates here. Equalizer.
And Stephen?
Yeah, Equalizer.
For 9, I've got Glory. Richie?
I've got Flight.
Ryan?
Yeah, I have Flight.
Stephen?
Well, it's a great underdog sports movie with social relevance, but I think the other movies are better. So remember the Titans.
Kirk.
I said The Hurricane.
But Flight is going to be 9.
Okay, let's see.
Right. Richie, what do you have for 8?
I remember the Titans.
Ryan.
I just finished. I have to put this because I just really have not seen it. Philadelphia.
Stephen.
Sticking with Remember the Titans.
Kirk.
I said The Hurricane again.
And I'm sticking with Glory, but remember the Titans is going to be 8.
Okay.
Ryan, what do you have for 7?
I still have to stick with Philadelphia.
Stephen.
Philadelphia.
Kirk.
Philadelphia.
I'm sticking with Glory. So Richie.
I had the Hurricane.
Philadelphia is going to be 7. Just have to make. No, I didn't spell it correctly. Luckily, I didn't put it up, and
It's an easy mistake to make.
I don't know where's my board. But Stephen, what do you have for 6?
Man on Fire.
Kirk.
I said The Hurricane.
I'm sticking with Glory. Richie.
The Hurricane. Give me the Hurricane.
And Ryan.
The Hurricane.
Man, it gets tough from here.
Yeah. Okay.
But just to recap what we've got left, we've got Glory, Man on Fire, Malcolm X, Crimson Tide, and Fences.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk, what do you have for 5?
The Pittsburgh movie will be higher than the Philly movie. That's all that matters. So I'll go with Fences now.
I'm sticking with Glory. Richie.
Fences.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going with Fences.
And Stephen.
Sticking with Man on Fire. I haven't seen Fences, so that's why I go for it.
Oh man. What's okay?
Yeah, Glory, Crimson Tide, Malcolm X, and Man on Fire. Yeah.
Man.
I've got Glory for 4. Richie.
Crimson Tide.
Ryan.
I went with Glory.
Stephen.
Stuck with Man on Fire.
Kirk.
It hurts. I went with Crimson Tide though.
Crimson Tide is going to.
Wait, hold on.
No, we're tied. Yeah, it's 2-2.
We're tied.
Yeah,
We're tied. Yeah.
Stephen, Glory or Crimson Tide at 4?
Ooh, those are both really great movies, but I gotta go with Crimson Tide.
Oh, okay. Woo! Okay.
I think Glory is
I'm
his best movie.
not holding against
That's
you.
it.
No, I'm saying, yeah, you were given two tough choices. I don't blame you.
Meanwhile, Zadis is in the chat cheering on Man on Fire. Richie, what do you have for 3?
Glory.
Ryan,
I actually changed for Men on Fire.
Stephen,
Yeah, I stuck with Man on Fire.
Kirk.
This one hurts again, but I said Malcolm X.
Wow. Yeah.
I read Glory. So
Oh, so
Kirk,
now it's Kirk. It's Kirk.
Man on Fire or Glory for 3?
Oh God. I hate to do it, but I gotta go Man on Fire. Man on Fire is gonna be number 3.
Oh goddamn! Now I know Zaddy's pissed.
I'm sorry, but I love that movie. That's personally
Yeah.
my favorite. But I gotta break the tie off my head.
Reason why I wanted Glorious 4 because I didn't want to choose between Crimson Tide or Man on Fire at 3.
But now instead of putting our number 2, we're going to go straight to number 1. And it's between Malcolm X and Glory.
Can't lose. They're both. I
Yeah,
always thought these are his two best movies.
Yeah. I mean, if only this could have been made. If Malcolm, if you had told us this was going to be a 2-part, like one list of Denzel, we could have really spread this apart to save so many of these films. Oh.
But with that, Richie, what do you have for number 1?
Malcolm X.
Ryan,
I mean, I brought that poster for a reason. Malcolm X.
Stephen,
Glory.
Kirk.
Yeah, it's a win-win, but I said Glory.
But yeah, I mean, I know I've been championing for Glory to be lower, but I haven't seen Malcolm X, so I'm really going to have to vote for Glory.
Wow.
Oh my God. Damn. Oh, damn. Really rough.
We have reached the end. I'm going to recap the top 12. At 12, we got Fallen. At 11, we got The Book of Eli. At 10, we got The Equalizer. At 9, we got Flight. At 8, we got Remember the Titans. At 7, we got Philadelphia. At 5, we got 6, we got The Hurricane. At 5, we got Fences. At 4, we got Crimson Tide. 3, we got Man on Fire. At 2, we got Malcolm X. And then at number 1, we got Glory. But that brings us in. I'll have a poll up in the Take 3 page in just a bit with the 5 options for next week. But Richie, where can people find you online?
Just go to type in Richie Goodacre. I've got a like page for comedy. Just like that, and I'm all around all the trivia spaces. I do as well as movie. I do wrestling trivia. There's with combat wrestling trivia, and also it's another group wrestling trivia. So just like them and have a watch, and other than that, we'll just catch you around.
And Ryan, where can people find you online?
People can find me. I have a wrestling podcast called The Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. I co-hosted alongside James Shimo, who, if people were following the Movie Trivia Schmodown, he was a potential draftee for the Movie Trivia Schmodown draft. And then also I have a Schmodown channel, a YouTube channel called Mount Schmodown, where I just do a pretty much a career retrospective on Schmodown players. Earlier this afternoon, my co-host and I, we talked about Matt Atchity, and then next week we're going to have ourselves a crossover with Spin from the Reel as we talk about Jason Inman.
Stephen, where can people find you online?
All the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. With Letterboxd on, my name is S Shepherd 82.
Kurt, where can people find you online?
Look me up on Letterboxd, Kurt Kowal. And I will be coming in April. I will be hosting the next Yearless Sex Top 100 series over at Multiplex. So if you're interested in that, send your list to me or Caleb Coho. If you can't commit to the whole Top 100 series, on the 24th, I will be hosting the Your List Sucks 2.5 star or lower rated movies by me. So you would consider that too. If the idea of you and I criticize each other sounds like a lot of fun.
But yeah, you can find me on Tape who I host. Rankum. This next week will be whatever wins the poll. Will be the Rankum Summit will be on this Monday. I think I'm going to do it. I think I don't think there's much to about. I think there's a lot of things that happened yesterday, but no, I'll go try and get. I'm going to try and get a few special guests on. And it's going to be a bunch of fun just talking about the draft and everything that went down. And potentially, I'll have a late night tape free, but I'll confirm that on the page if I've decided on the topic. Also over on Full Metal, I host Full Metal Classic, which is going to be back on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. And there may or may not be a Full Metal random match this week. I'm just waiting for people to get back to me on whether they can do it this week. But with that being said, we've reached the end. Watch out for the poll, and yeah, keep listening, shit.